Okay, so this is the morning of day 3 of my adventures in the Philippines. This is still El Nido, where I am strolling down the road early in the morning getting some coffee. I got coffee at this place every day for maybe 3 or 4 days, and I'm currently off with a specific goal in mind. I'm going to, right here, this is the Canopy Walk, and it's right basically in El Nido town. You'll see that from one point during this stroll. You get a view of El Nido town from high in the sky. You have the guide filming me. He actually told me about another tour that he runs, which is like a multi-hour tour that goes way up and is far more strenuous and far more rigorous. And he invited me along after this. I think he uses this as like a test of sorts to see if who's fit and physically able to be invited along with his tour. But this was a really cool experience. Highly recommend if you're in El Nido, because it's very nearby, and it is maybe 45 minutes total. There's a sneak peek of El Nido town. This is really fun, just climbing these stairs up through the jungle of El Nido, through rocks. So this is kind of the main viewpoint where you can see El Nido town. I love Canopy Walk. I love Lamp. Pretty amazing. So you can probably see where I'm staying from here, because I spent most of my time on the roof. They had a rooftop pool. Oh yeah. Yeah, somewhere over there is my hostel, which apparently I got roughly 0 footage of. This is a really awesome place, El Nido. I would recommend, if you're looking for a recommendation. This is early in the morning. You kind of want to do this early in the morning if you don't want to get super hot. I mean, this kind of goes without say, but these views are infinitely more impressive when you are actually looking at it. This is a good opportunity to sing the praises of Crocs. I thought I was a genius by choosing Crocs as my one and only shoe for this trip, and it makes sense because they are closely related to the flip-flop, but they also give you good support for walking. And in my past trips in Asia, I noticed no one ever wears Crocs. Until I went on this trip, I realized everyone in the world is wearing Crocs. There's another thing that I didn't do up here where there's like a big canopy, kind of a bouncy like net that you can walk on, and I think you can bounce on it, and I think you can just lay on it, and I did not take advantage of that. I did not see that. It's somewhere up there though. Okay, so this was my last day of being at that hostel. So I am moving to a new place right now. I obviously got a motorbike. I rented a motorbike, and I'm venturing off to find, and this is the roads that it's leading me down to get to my new hostel, which, so basically what happens is I get lost, and then I reevaluate my route, and I end up finding out that it's like a 10-minute distance walking. It's just that maps are so terrible in the Philippines that it took me like completely out of the way for no reason. Another thing is that my hostel is so to get to it, you actually have to drive on the beach for a minute, and it's a place where during high tide you can't drive, so you could potentially get stuck in there or out of there. So here's like the actual route, and I had just come off the beach. And even after this, I still can't find it for a little bit. I remember this being kind of frustrating. I was searching around. Just the maps are terrible. You know, which usually just ends up making things more interesting. You usually have to ask for directions and just explore and do whatever you have to do. So I think I find my place. I've already found it, I think, at this point. And now I'm venturing around exploration style. Because I know there's a beach. So you know the beach in Maine, El Nido town, is like pretty busy, pretty jam-packed with boats and all that. So this is kind of a change of pace over here. Like right now I'm walking to the beach through this like amazing jungle area. And these tides are very intense. Like this is low tide, and like high tide would be all the way up to that tree line, and so right here it'd be like knee deep or something. But in low tide, this is very shallow for a far way out. But it was really nice. Alright, I've settled into my new hostel, and I've ventured out for the remaining activities of the day, which I think at this point my only plan was to go to Duli Beach, which is like a 45-minute drive, they say, and it's a beach where you can surf. So I was going to rent a surfboard or maybe get a lesson. So I ended up getting lessons at this beach. Like an hour-long surf lesson. This is kind of oh, look at this. So there's just a tree right in the road. This is one of my favorite activities in the world, which is exploring via motorbike, some island. Oh, look at this bridge. So this is just an unplanned stop. I saw like signs that said, waterfall, and I just pulled over, and it ended up being a lot more time than I had expected, but this might have taken like an hour and a half just to get to this waterfall. And when I'm at that point, I'm thinking like it doesn't really matter, because I can always change plans. I can do the surfing thing tomorrow. Like, that's the good thing about having just loose plans. You don't keep everything tightly scheduled. I could stay in El Nido for extra days if I find more shit I want to do. Like, at this point, I don't know how many more days I'm going to be here. You don't want to give yourself a tight itinerary. And actually, at this point, I don't even know where I'm going next. Like, I think at this stage, I had a pretty good idea. But definitely when I first got there and, a couple days in, I had no idea. This guy was walking barefoot. This is my second guide of the day. So here's the waterfall. Nothing to write home about, but it was a sight for my sweaty eyes at the time. And just that hike through the jungle was alone was a really worthwhile way to spend your time. But you gotta imagine that this is very hot. It's like hot, and this water is cool because it's flowing down from some mountain, which seems to always make water cold. You'll see some much awesomer waterfalls later on. There's a caribou chilling in a river. I don't know if that was like a threat or what, but all right, so we're back on the road. Compass is set for Duli Beach. Duli. So obviously filming on a motorbike is not probably the most recommended thing to do, but I can assure you I did it very sparingly. And you never can do it when you actually want to record the stuff, because you're on some road that is made of dirt, and so you just can't, like very rocky terrain or whatever. The most film worthy times are just the times that you can't use your camera. So here's Duli Beach, famous surf beach. Of course they have a, what do you call that, a tightrope. Obviously I did not get any footage of me surfing, but I can assure you I was attempting to surf for over an hour. And this is probably like 5 o'clock. Like the sun, you can see, is already about to go down. Yeah, I remember thinking like, at this point I remember not having had anything to eat at this point. And I still have like an hour drive back home. So this is saying farewell to Duli Beach. I spent quite a lot of time here, just didn't get a lot of footage here. I did like have a beer with the surf instructor guys, just swam in the waves, just spent way more time than surfing, by the way, is very much harder than it looks. Although I was told that I was pretty good at it for it being my first time. But they probably say that to everyone. I mean, I could get up, at least. I mean, I can't imagine how awkward I must have looked surfing. Because when I was on the beach, just like doing the practice thing where you practice getting up on the board, every time I like struck my surfer pose, everyone laughed at me relentlessly, and so I left them a very bad review. Just kidding. I did not do that. So this is back home near the hostel. This is some like, this was actually pretty cool. Like there's a lot of people just watching these like kids play. They have a referee. They have a Christmas tree. And then here is my hostel, which, by the way, I was alone in, which was actually quite a welcomed surprise. The next day I would get a guest who he and I went out to dinner and met one of his friends, who I ended up meeting again in the next town that I went to, and we hung out for like 2 days. So that is kind of the way it goes. Okay, well, there was way not enough footage of the surfing and way too much footage of the other 2 activities I did, but that's fine. Okay. I believe we'll have one more El Nido based video, and then the next one will be moving on to the next locale. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.